Hello YouTube, this is Hclat again, back for more commentary now that Linear has outsourced all his channel work to me, and I wanted to make a video about my Week 9 SPL game against the Tyrants and Marcop, as well as full pass in advance in general. Against Marcop, I reached the conclusion, I think like the weekend before the game, that I wanted to bring a full Baton Pass team into him for a couple reasons. The first one was I thought it would get a pretty good matchup, and I think my reasoning for that was sort of twofold. A is that he's known to counter, he's known to prep a lot, and I've been bringing a lot of teams that are weak to like Doug Trio special offense, those and that type of stuff. And his other like main preference is just like fat, bulky stuff with like 4-8 and Claydol and water types and stuff like that. And I'll talk about how that plays into this in a second. And then the other reason was I thought that if I managed to win a game with it, it would give it a lot of give like the brokenness, the absurdness of full pass, like a sort of the spotlight that it needs for dialogue to actually like start about it. Most like advanced ladder players or mainers are very aware that there's just like a really broken thing, and it's sort of seen as like a, I don't know, like an ugly stepchild type of thing where everyone knows it exists, they know it's there, they don't like to talk about it, but when it's like, it also runs rampant on the ladder. And if you're someone like me or a bunch of other ladder players, it's really unpleasant to play against. So I would like to see it banned. I'll get more into that later. So the team specifically, I reached out to a French ladder player, a very notorious one of that, named Rien. I'm probably mispronouncing that because I don't think it's English. Or Mead is his main name, but his full pass ladder account is Rien, and he passed me this team, which is his full pass team that he's like climbed disgustingly high in the ladder with, like into the 1700s, topping the whole thing. And he is like legitimately very good at piloting it, and he's really optimized it. So yeah, this is the lineup. And basically how it works is you go to your Ninjask, and without any real counterplay, you're able to protect and substitute and use the speed boost ability to boost your speed. If this guy was all alone on a team, it'll be pretty easy to beat by going to somebody with Roar. However, this team also has Mr. Mime with the ability Soundproof, preventing moves like Roar and Perish Song, as well as Encore. So what this does is if Ninja's Baton passes the Mr. Mime on the Roar turn, Mr. Mime A doesn't get roared, and B can click a speed boosted Encore to lock that mon into the move and allow itself to sub and Calm Mind. Vaporeon's kind of the main guy here for physical mons. He's got like max physical bulk, as well as substitute and acid armor to boost up the defenses. And then the purpose of this whole thing is to pass to one of these two cleaners down here. Octillery is a special one, and its niche here is the Suction Cups ability, and that means that it would be a viable counter strategy to just like sit in against Mr. Mime and roar it over and over, and eventually it's going to pass out, and then you'd be able to phase out whatever it passes to. But when Octillery is there, you can't do that because it has Suction Cups and it can't be phased. It also has a really good special attack stat and good coverage, and it's a really good sweeper. And then Marowak is something that's actually used a bit in OU on like somewhat real teams, but its thing is its attack stat is just stupidly high. It's adamant, that's 568, which is just really big. And it's Earthquake, like it's 100 base power stab, and it one-shots everything neutral except max defense Suicune after a Sword Stance boost. this slot, the Magneton slot, is sort of the flex spot. Rian uses Magneton on his team because on the ladder, a lot of people use Whirlwind Skarmory. I think mostly because like sample teams that aren't quite updated or use a lot. Whirlwind isn't really a good move for anything except for this because it's incompatible with Drill Peck, and you sort of reveal yourself to be like vulnerable to things like Fighters, Claydol, and Fortress if you use Whirlwind. So it's not good, but if it does have Whirlwind, it just like completely beats this team. So that's why Magneton's here. However, me like knowing that I was going to bring it into a tour game, made 2 new variants of this that didn't have Magneton and instead had a lead that I wanted to use to get Ninjask rolling. The 2 things I considered here were this Raikou set, which basically the idea of this would be to, before I die, to click Thunder Wave and Reflect and make it so that Ninjask can be in with a Reflect up against a paralyzed mon and have a good chance of getting a free sub on a full para. And then the other thing was this Smeargle with a Quick Claw Spore Memento. The idea would be to click Spore and then maybe T-Wave and maybe just immediately Memento. What this move does for those of you who don't know, it just it self-KOs you and it drops the attacking stats of the opposing mon, which obviously is really good for Ninjask because it allows it to substitute. A couple other wrinkles that I changed from his thing. I made the Ninjask max special defense. My reasoning for this was it doesn't need to be all that fast because it can boost up with Protect. This is the same, this is the same, this is the same, except I use Substitute instead of Flamethrower. And because I was removing Magneton, I decided to put Focus Punch instead of Swords Dance on the Marowak. And that's there to 2-hit Skarm or to one-shot it after a Swords Dance pass. So yeah, those are the teams. That's what I went with. And yeah, I'm going to hop into the game and sort of discuss what limited counterplay options there are. Okay, let's hop right into the game. Yeah, this is really my first time going through it. So I might not have my thoughts completely collected, but what I want to focus on is, I guess, Marcop or Gilbert's just like utter lack of options and how, like, I guess, uncompetitive the game is, especially from his perspective. You'll see throughout that his counterplay is like completely limited to just like randomly guessing a few turns right, and he has to get them all right to have a chance. But yeah, I'll point that out as we get to it. Let's jump into the game. I went with a Smeargle variant of the team. This thing is Spore Memento Thunder Wave. I Spore turn 1. Metagross is actually immune to Memento because of its ability, so I went for Thunder Wave on turn 2, which may have been a misplay. I let him gain an extra sleep turn. He actually instantly wakes up and hits the Meteor Mash, which is pretty lucky. 25% chance of that happening. So yeah, now I just have to go straight to Ninjask. I'm going to slow this down a little bit. And yeah, so his options here are to either Meteor Mash or Switch. He doesn't have any Roar users on this team, as it turns out, but sort of as we established before, if he goes to a Roar user, it like will become another 50-50 with me passing to Mr. Mime or not. So it's not like he can just like, if he had a Roar user, he would be okay. But yeah, right now he's forced to either try to hit a bunch of inaccurate moves or try to make a switch on a Protect turn by me. I decided to just fish for the Meteor Mash misses, excuse me, and click sub every time, respecting the switch out. He hits the first 2. I'm going to speed this up a bit. Hits the first 2, but he misses the third. Now I've got a sub up and +3 speed. Something I forgot to mention before with the team is both the Octillery and the Marowak, they're like magic speed numbers +3 to outspeed everything. They both sit in like the 180, 190 range instead of at the 200 range. so it needs these 3 boosts to be able to outspeed the entire game. So yeah, now I've got the sub up and I'm ready to go. I go to Vaporeon because that's the one like physical check, and he actually crits this Meteor Mash, which was pretty lucky for him. I think the sub would have lived that, and I would have been able to click Acid Armor behind the sub. So now we go into this position where he has 2 real options here, which is to Earthquake and to Boom. And the way it works out is if he booms on a sub, he gets a switch, and I don't have a sub up. If he Earthquakes and I click Acid Armor, he pretty much has to boom right after that because I can free sub. And if I Acid Armor and he booms, then he at least escapes the chain. He probably will win, but he escapes the chain. But he chooses to boom immediately, which sort of just allows the game to continue. So now he goes to Magneton, so we transpose to another set of just like coin flips, where he has 2 options. He can Thunderbolt to break the sub, or he can Toxic or Hidden Power, probably Toxic. He probably knows the lineup at this point of the game, just because like Mead is so like notorious for using it. So he probably knows that there's a Marowak out there that he has to hit, and at the very least there could be like a Celebi. So I think Toxic is his other option. So he has to not Toxic on the sub. He also has to not Thunderbolt a Thunderbolt resist. So he gets the sub turn correct, and then he just like completely soul reads this turn and Toxics. He would have probably just instantly lost if he had clicked Thunderbolt that turn, or if I had clicked sub on the Toxic, like the game would have just ended. But he just completely nails the prediction. However, he's kind of forced to stay in here because I could click. He doesn't know that I don't have Swords Dance, so he has to respect that. So yeah, I stay here because I don't think he's going to allow me to go to Vaporeon for free on the Milotic. I think that's probably why he was doubling, which makes sense to me. Covers the Earthquake, covers the Vaporeon switch, so that's a good move by him. And he gets another turn of Toxic Tick. I just keep attacking. My game plan at this point is just to Marowak's dead at this point. I just want to get a sub up with something else. He is actually faster this turn. If he had known he was faster, he could have Toxic. This may have been a misplay by me, to be completely honest, but at this point in the game, I think that his last 2 mons are... I think I was thinking Snorlax and Salamence at this point, just based on his team, and I was pretty concerned about the Snorlax, so I thought I had to sort of rush my way in. If I'd known the full team, I would have played this a lot slower, but I didn't know that at this point. So he could have Toxic me right here, and he probably... I don't know if he could have won, because I would have gotten the sub up, and I would have gotten a couple Acid Armors, and he wouldn't have had a way to break the sub. So I don't actually know if he would have won if he had Toxic here, but that would have helped him a lot. But also, like, I think it's pretty insane to like armchair QB a player right here for not figuring out that the Vaporeon is slower, given that he hasn't seen a single damage roll, and just like inferring that and clicking Toxic. Because if he Toxic this sub, that would just be so bad for him. But yeah, he switches out here, and I sub. I don't know what this roll actually was. I was pretty surprised it lived, just because Vaporeon isn't really all that physically bulky. But it does live. I think it was a mid-roll, and I think it also revealed like a very uninvested or very bulky Heracross. But yeah, now I'm rolling. Now I'm getting the speed going. He kind of just has to stay in and click 100% accuracy moves. You get 1 speed boost. Vaporeon is now, as it turns out, faster than the Heracross. Acid Armor, so here's 1 crit chance he has. If he had crit me here, I would have died, and he would have won the game. But now Vaporeon can just sub on the on this guy, the Heracross. I sub. I wish. If he had last T-Tar, he could go to it on a sub, but he has 5 grounded mods at this point, so I'm comfortable with the assumption that his last is flying, or at least P2. So yeah, I do that to avoid the crit again. I probably should be, I guess Acid Armor is okay, but I should probably be trying to keep my Vaporeon more healthy. This game does get a little bit scary for me later on because I let my Vaporeon go slow. I don't know anything about the Celebi at this point, but Mime is kind of just the cover. Mime covers all. Even if he had Parasong, I guess he could have clicked a fast Parasong. But if he had slow Parasong, like even Mime would have blocked that, which is pretty absurd. But now I'm here, I think Mime probably outspeeds him. I think it's a 324 speed after this boost. So I can Encore this. So yeah, he again outpredicts me and switches out, so I waste a switch here. Good move by him. But he's just like, he's caught in a loop, there's nothing he can do. The +4 defense, 4x resist. Ninjask eats it. I protect to try to get up to my inching closer to that +3 speed thing that the Octillery needs. Teampastes the Vaporeon because of his wish. He just has to like, he like doesn't even have like any plays to make here. He just has to like swing at me. He goes Celebi. I can probably just wish here. I have a Baton Pass, okay. That might have been a greedy Calm Mind. He was predicting the Ninja switch there, which made sense. He got that wrong. I guess he had to go Mega Horn and hit Mega Horn. And that would have gotten an opening. But yeah, I think I calc at some point and realized that I need, I think, one more Calm Mind boost to be sure that I'm killing the Heracross with Octillery. So now I'm just fishing for Mega Horn misses. He has to go Mega Horn because nothing else breaks the sub. I have to, okay, he finally goes for that. I have to make sure I don't go to Ninjask and get crit on a Rock Slide. That's like the only chance I have of losing here. Or I guess anything would get crit and die. So I just have to like sub until he either misses a Mega Horn, or I just have to not get crit on the pass turn. Ninjask doesn't get crit. Hooray. The Vaporeon, if that had hit and crit, I would have lost. Now the sub is up. I think that might have been a misplay by me, to be honest. I maybe should have just gone to the Octillery right there. I think Celebi might have been like, he couldn't, there's like nothing he could do there, but yeah, like the minute he misses anything, it's just over. Now I just go to the Octillery and Surf and HP Electric just win a game. He's upset in the chat and I really can't blame him. And yeah, he just forfeits. I think his last is either, I think it's probably Aerodactyl. Probably like a sub-leechy Aerodactyl. And yeah, but basically the only thing I wanted to make like clear from this like game quote-unquote analysis was like pretty much all the like quote skill turns or anything like that he like totally got the better of. And the game was just like completely over, just like in builder. And I know people talk about like auto lose matchups or 6-0 matchups and stuff like that all the time, but it just like does not exist like to this degree, where like the only ways out of this were to just like Hail Mary prediction every single time correctly, or to just like get one of, I think, like 3 to 4 crit windows. And there's just like not really anything that's not like competitive. There's no like counterplay there. And Yeah, I would be pissed. I would feel slighted if I had somebody do this to me. When I run into this on ladder, I find it incredibly frustrating to lose to, because I feel like I just loaded up a game where I, like, the entire game was out of my hands. I just had to click attacks and just hope for the best. Like, this isn't like an overpowered archetype. Like, people love to make the argument like it isn't really that good, it doesn't find tour success, and that's true. Like, it does lose to some stuff. Whirlwind and Haze, and I guess to a lesser extent Parasong do beat it. And additionally, like, either a Metagross that hits all its moves, or like a Curslax or some like big normal type guy spamming its attacks will have pretty good odds to get through it. Although it's still not great odds, and you have to like basically win the Vaporeon like prediction interaction anyway. You have to like make sure it doesn't get an acid armor up. And also it doesn't have like a good crunch switch in. So if you can spam a bunch of crunches into this, you'll probably win with Tyranitar. But at the same time, most crunch Tyranitars are gonna be like the lead. So that means, and it's also like a pretty good sleep sack. So if you're like playing a normal game against a normal Smeargle team, it makes a lot of sense to get your Tyranitar slept, and then Mementoed, and then Ninjash just goes to town. And before you get the chance to wake up and start using crunches, you've got a turbo Mr. Mime with a bunch of boosts past the Vaporeon, and like you can't break its sub anymore. So like, yeah, basically the point is like, there's just like it's not like a fun way to like outplay this or anything. Like, the game is usually just decided in the builder, and good plays lose to it. So yeah, if it wasn't obvious, I think something should be done with the rules about this. I think people are going to start talking about like the move Baton Pass as a whole and start trying to ban that, but I think that's not a good way to go about it. I don't think Baton Pass itself is broken. I think it's actually like a really fun, healthy tool when used with like, there's like Zapdos, Celebi, even like normal Vaporeon teams, like sort of adds a dimension to the game. However, specifically Ninjask and Mr. Mime, I think mostly Mr. Mime, are just really uncompetitive mons, and I think they should be banned, or at least Baton Pass on them should be banned. Umbreon and Mean Look Pass is another thing that should be considered, but that's not really something that's been prominent at all. Although I could see, if these two guys get banned, I could see Umbreon becoming the new version of it. But yeah, I think the right direction for ADV to go is to definitely ban Mr. Mime and give a very strong consideration towards banning Ninjask. Again, both because Mime mainly is the combination of Soundproof and Baton Pass, although Encore is another just really nasty move. And for Ninjask, it's Speed Boost Baton Pass. And again, Swords Dance is another thing that makes it annoying, but it's Speed Boost BP and Soundproof BP that are the real problems. So yeah, I hope this commentary makes sense. I hope my stance on Baton Pass is clear, and I hope that this game sparks a dialogue that makes ADV better. So yeah, thanks for watching.